right. Hey out there. Welcome back to the Hurricane 100K post-race wrap-up. Man, I was so excited to have our guest here with us. This is Alex Miner. I'm going to introduce him, and we're going to get into some conversations, but really just want to stop and say thanks to our many sponsors, the City of Hurricane and Mayor Scott Edwards for putting up that $7,500 prize purse. We gave $1,500 of that away to Alex, and Little Caesars made sure we had hot and ready pizza all day long for not just the runners, but for our families and our crew and all of our volunteers. The ice cream was flowing all day, and that was thanks to the many local sponsors that we had. Just what's such a wonderful day that we had on September 10th for the first ever Hurricane 100K. And on behalf of our Meeks Mountain Trail Alliance and our events team of Ashley, Brandon, Hager, Stewarts, Robert, and Vanessa, and the tons of volunteers, we'll talk a little bit more about that. We just had such a fun time. And thanks to Alex and all the runners for coming out today. I'm going to introduce Alex to you. He is 24 years old. He works at Robert's Running and Walking Shop, which is a perfect job for him. His best sales pitch, I've said it before, is put these shoes on and you'll be fast, just like me. He currently lives in Huntington. He's from Morgantown, went to University High School, and then went to Marshall, where his accomplishment 2 times all conference in college. He is the Yamacraw 50K course record holder in 4:19 in 2021, the Cabin Fever 50K course record in 3:43 for the inaugural race. That's a 7:12 pace on the trails for that 50K. And now he is the overall champion and the course record holder of the Hurricane 100K in a time of 8:38:33 and a pace of 8:12 for that entire race. And that was not an easy course. I want to welcome Alex Fancy Like Miner to the show here. How are you, Alex?
Hey, good, man. I like that nickname too. Fancy Like?
Well, yeah. So let me explain. You know the story. Explain it to our millions of viewers out there right now. So the race was done, right? And it was, later on in the afternoon, and you and your crew were hanging out at the tent, waiting on your friend Jay to finish. And so I came over just to chat and check on you, and you were fresh as a daisy. You changed your clothes and said, what you guys been doing? You've been out to eat. So you've been across the street to our local Mexican place, Whiskey Taco. And so my question was, oh man, with your winnings, did you buy everybody dinner? And apparently Cassidy bought you dinner. And apparently that's a rare thing, right?
What a great gal. What a great girlfriend someone can have.
Well, go ahead.
I was not expecting to go in there and walk out still with a pocket full of money, man.
Yeah.
She's great.
Well, you hadn't cashed it yet, and she knew that. So she said, listen, I took him and paid for this because I want to go somewhere fancy. And we were like, you mean fancy like Applebee's for the Bourbon Street? And so it was just like, and I got to tell you, I had been singing that song
nonstop.
And in my house, everybody hates me right now because get out of their head. So that's where the Fancy Like comes from. So I don't know, man. You might always be Alex Fancy Like Miner to me, but
I'll stick with that, man. I like it.
Yeah, it was fun. So to tell us, man, how you feeling after all this? Just a few days removed.
Feeling good. A little sore, obviously. Left arch hurts, but I mean, other than that, still been running. Just a couple miles, real easy, nothing crazy or anything like that. Actually, the day after, went to Ritter Park in Huntington, ran with Cassidy on the soft crushed limestone. So that was actually pretty good for the legs. And then just taking it easy, man. But other than that, I still feel really, really good.
Well, that's physically. I mean, how do you feel like, mentally and emotionally? It's got to be anytime you win, man, you got to stay on a high for a while, right?
Yeah, it's good. Went into work on Monday. It was actually having a good time. I mean, nothing crazy or anything going on like that. So then, got to hang out with friends, family, and that was really good too. So other than that, mentally I'm happy in a good spot right now, especially after a race like that.
Yeah, it's awesome. One of the things, and Caleb Bowen had sent it to me afterwards, that your 100K time of the fastest times for 100K is number 29 in the country after last weekend, and number 20 for trails. So you think about, there are a lot of 100Ks. We don't have any. This is the first one in West Virginia. We're going to have another one in the spring that our friends Bryant Baker is putting on too.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of 100Ks out there, and number 20. Has that sunk in?
Not really. I mean, and then you look at the top of that list, and there's some fast dudes, fast ladies too. I mean, it's
Yes.
just crazy on both sides. So it's like, yeah, it's cool. It's cool to be on a list like that. But I mean, it's just a list. She's gonna
It's
keep
just a
running and
list. Yeah.
stuff. That's it,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Well, and Holly Ann was like I think she was number 5 if you
Yeah.
just look at trails, and you're 29. Kayla was number 31. So you guys were only just a few minutes apart. And I don't want anybody to think that you ran a fast time because it was an easy course. It wasn't an easy course, was it?
It was brutal. It was by far probably one of the most brutal courses trail wise I've ever ran, pretty much. So, but because KT Canal Trace, which Bob Luther, he actually put it on his first time this past year, and I mean
Yeah.
that's a tough course too, just for 50K, and then I mean throwing this in still kind of close to home and everything. It's crazy that we're just having intense races that are super technical trails, super hilly.
Yeah.
So, but it's good. I mean, it's West Virginia for you, man.
Dude, I love it, and I just tell people this course is, if you go out and just kind of, you run a loop, or you just go out for a training run, it's you just kind of see. I just say it's sneaky hard. It sneaks up on you. But is there anything that you do for 62 miles it's just not gonna punish you at the end of that too?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you can't do much about it, dude. But
Yeah.
that's why we like it. That's why
Yeah.
I mean, we would go up there for training runs and stuff, and we knew it was going to be brutal. So I think that was kind of like the best part about it. I mean, you guys had it marked for weeks prior, so that actually helped. I think everyone. So
Yeah.
you actually see how the trail was actually going to be and stuff. But yeah, it was definitely brutal, man. So thanks for
We
that.
it was marked since Memorial Day, because we had our preview then, and a bunch of
Awesome.
came out. We just left them up. It's
Yeah.
our trails, our mountain, our hills, man. We just left them up there too. So
Yeah.
I've got a bunch of questions for you to talk about today, but I'm gonna start you out with a lightning round. Okay. So this is just 5 quick
Oh
questions.
God.
Answer these things, and the first thing that comes to your mind, and we're just going to kind of have a stream of consciousness. It's not that hard. I'll give you some multiple choice here too. But all right, any animal. If you could be any animal, what would it be?
Lion.
A lion. Yeah, king of the beast. Gotcha. Your bucket list race.
Western States.
Nice. Bucket list vacation.
Probably Paris.
Paris. Awesome. Oh, I saw him. Everybody seemed to look to the side there. That was for Cassidy. Favorite superhero.
Hulk.
Hulk. Yes. And finally, let's settle this once and for all. Are Sasquatch real?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Right.
You're
So
sick for that.
there will be physical evidence. We got it. Okay. So tell us about the day. Like, who was your crew for the day, first of all? Because I got to hang out with them. So let's talk about your crew. Who all was there for you? Man, you had a tremendous section there.
Yeah, we had a lot. I think, well, we had the Roman Run tent set up. Shout out Roman Run. Shout
Yeah,
out.
absolutely.
Selfless plug. Gotta do it.
Yeah.
But I had my whole family. I mean, my mom came in, her fiance Doug was there, great guy. And then Cassidy, I mean, her whole family was there. And I mean, they were great. So and then I mean, oh yep, there they are. That's a great picture. Early
Yeah.
morning right there. So but my mom and Cassidy were by far like the biggest help. They were just filling my bottles and everything. And I mean, everyone was there for pretty much me and Jay the whole day. So, I mean,
Yeah.
when you get
Yeah.
a crew like that, you can't beat that, man.
So did they have a good time?
I think they had a great time. Probably a little nervous at first because I mean, this is the first time I actually really had crew for a race. I never really had to have a crew. But I kind of explained to him a little bit how it was kind of going to go down. Obviously, it was going to try to be quick, and I
Yeah.
told him I might be a little agitated, might be a little mean, but I think I made out pretty good. So,
Were you agitated? Were you mean? This doesn't look agitated and mean. This looks
dude,
like,
I was having a good time. Well, I forgot to take my light off, my shirt off. I was already drenched in sweat. I was just an
yeah.
idiot right there. So,
That's what the crew does for you. Take your light. We had a little sign that says drop your headlamps. You guys just went right past that thing. Didn't even
no,
see.
I dropped mine right in the woods for some hopefully trail runner that'll have a nice new light now.
Oh, dude, what kind is that? I might have it. Have some light.
That's a little Nathan waist belt.
Yeah, no, but we'll look for it. We'll look for it. Did you
My
drop
guy.
the trails?
Yeah, I was like right at the beginning of the entrance of the hill.
I'll do.
that
We'll
you
go
first
find
saw.
that for you. It may still be there. Anytime people find stuff on our trails, they take it right up to the gate and leave it. And I mean, it's some of the stuff.
I got 2 bottles out there if you can find those things.
Okay. Well, I did say that I've done that course so much. I think I'm going to do all of our other trails for a while and
There you go.
for a bit too. But no, I mean, you were rolling. I've got some other things. So we're going to get back to your mom. I do want to talk about that, but I want to talk about it towards the end of the race. We had some really cool times there too, but there's kind of a funny story I wanted to share with you on that.
Yeah.
So, but overall, so if somebody says to you, Alex, if they just say, look, man, tell me about the race, like overview, how'd it go? What would you say to them?
I would say, obviously, go back to that word. It was brutal, but it was brutal in a way where, it being a loop course, you could kind of find the spots where it's going to be brutal, and then the spots where you can actually cruise and get after it pretty much. So once you kind of figured that out, I think it just made it a whole lot easier. Because I wasn't thinking about miles. Once you kind of start thinking about math, I feel like oh, I got 30 more miles. I got
you
15
can't do
more
it, right?
Yeah, you're done after that. So I was just like, I got loops. So I got done with that first loop. It was like 5 more loops, second loop, 4 more. So just like counting down like that, I think helped really well too.
Yeah. It is, and we'll talk about it. I mean, but the loop, have you done a loop course before?
That's first one. Yeah.
So what were you expecting coming into it? And then what was your takeaway coming out of it?
I was expecting to suck like way more, honestly. So just because, which I'm slightly an idiot. I think once I get after the loops though, it's like, oh, I'm kind of already forgetting the trails in that respect. I've gotten lost my past 2 races, Matt. So it's like the loop actually, I think, helped me. So
sure it does.
But yeah, I thought it was going to suck a lot more than it did. But I mean, once you kind of like I said, figure out those spots and stuff, it makes it a lot easier for sure.
What's funny is when people talk about loops and like, oh, I can't stand a loop, but how many people run the same stinking courses all the time in training runs, like the same regular loop and and I know because, I mean, part of the reason we did it is, of course, we don't have 62 miles. We wanted to do 100K, wanted to be the first 100K in West Virginia. And then also, because I love the loops. I've done several races like that too. I did one, my wife and I both in Central Park in New York, and it was 50K of 4-mile loops. And, if you've ever been in Central Park, man, there's so much to look at and so much entertainment. But what I realized was you get these little landmarks along the way and you're ticking your way off. I mean, I think it is so much harder not knowing where you're going, not really knowing kind of how far you've gone and how far you have to go, as opposed to you kind of count up for a while and then you start counting down and it's like 1 more loop to go, 2 more loops to go, 1 more loop to go. And I think it's really kind of misunderstood, not to mention, I mean, getting to see your crew that often and getting those cheers coming in there too. Was that not an exciting thing as well?
Oh yeah. I could hear them like probably half mile before coming out of the woods. And that, it gave me chills. I guess I could hear Cassidy, I could hear my mom, and I was like, oh my gosh, they're right there. It makes you actually feel a lot better. It gives you a little bit more juice. Then you get to them and it just feels great. And then, it's like, I got another 5 times of this, like going to be able to see them, hear them and stuff. So that was honestly like one of the best things, I think.
One of the things I think that when people get into long distance runs that, and you mentioned it earlier, is that, if it's a 60K or 100K or 62 miles, 100 miles for sure, you cannot stand there and go, I've got 100 miles to go, or I'm 30 miles in and I have 70 to go. You can't do it. It's got to be, break it down into consumable bites, 8 station to 8 station. This one, it was 5-mile sections at a time. Get yourself to the mid course, and then you roll downhill and you get back to your crew, and then you do it again. 5-mile sections at a time. So much easier on the brain. And we all know this is a physical activity, but it's a mental discipline, right?
Yep, 100%. Yeah. That was me just kind of like counting down those loops. Yeah, whole mentally thing. Because I mean, you knew your legs are going to hurt no matter what after mile 30, mile 40. But it's like, just once you get to that point, then, I mean, you don't have to worry about anything pretty much.
It's so funny. Like everybody would come through either towards the end or even the relays, and they'd be like, how you feel? It hurts. I was like, yeah. What do you expect?
Yeah.
It's supposed to hurt. That's what makes it so good. It's one of those hurts so good sort of things too.
Exactly.
And can you see this? Can you see these splits here, man? I want to talk about these splits for you.
Yeah.
And hopefully everybody else can too. I realize it's kind of big there, but it was pretty amazing. I told our mid-course aid station, I said, look, be ready at 6:30. Expect those guys at 6:45. But I was thinking like they'll come through here 135, 140 because first loop, take it easy, maybe. And then it's in the dark, and especially those first two trails, Wegmans especially, it's the second trail that you hit. It's one of our more technicals, hard to get a groove. It's just up, down, kind of sideways. So I was expecting 135, 140. You look at those times, man. You guys came through 127. All three of you and Caleb and Dan together and Holly Ann hot on your heels. Tell us about that first loop, how it went. You were hanging out, you were chatting. Then I want to share one other thing with you too, but talk to us.
It's actually funny to see that because that's what I expected. I felt like our first loop was actually one of our slower loops, which, I mean, still sub 130 is really good. But I think the first 3 or 4 miles, we were honestly just kind of chilling, just like honestly still waking up. So, that's funny to see that. But we were just kind of chatting, having a good time. And then, seeing those, that's crazy. The 2 loops after that are literally almost the same.
That's
crazy.
I thought when I was standing there, I was doing the math and I thought you were 127, 123, 119. I could have sworn one of them was a 119.
Yeah.
That third loop. And what's interesting too, you guys were, you were all kind of hanging out. I mean, you must have been together that entire first loop, but was it chatty, or were you're kind of thinking already, am I going to start to race this thing?
Yeah. So, we were pretty chatty. I kind of realized we definitely weren't going to start racing that first loop, especially it still being dark. We didn't want to obviously fall or have a bad kind of ankle turn or anything like that. So, through that first loop, we were just all together the entire time, I'm pretty sure. Me, Caleb, Dan, and Holly Ann. And then, I think just going into that second loop, we started pushing it just a touch more for sure.
Yeah, you did. When you all came through, look at that. That timing mat shows the exact same time crossing that mat, which is crazy.
It's awesome.
Notice too that, in that after your third loop, that's when things started to get interesting. You and Dan came in together. You're a little bit ahead of him, about 30 seconds. Caleb's a few minutes behind, but not much. So you were 121, Caleb's 125, Dan's 121. Holly got smart and decided Holly Ann got smart and try to back off just a little bit. Still held that so solid. And then really in that lap 5. So talk to me. There was one loop, and I think it was after the fourth loop. You all came through, and each of you were having a little bit of issue. You ran down to your tent, and I could see you said, "Oh man," it was like you cramped. Caleb had something going on with the stomach, and then Dan was having a tough. I got to tell you, Dan was so freaking funny, man. You all are roommates, right?
Yeah, we live together and we work together.
He was so funny. He cracks me up because, maybe he does this all the time. Maybe it's just race aid, but does he refer to himself in third person a lot?
Quite a bit, and I do it too because of that. So we talk in third person almost too much. Cassidy does not like it.
Oh no, it was so funny, man. He came in and said, "A Dan Green kind of day." Dan Green. It's not a Dan Green day. He just over and over again, and I was just laughing and watching because I think it's hilarious.
He's an animal, dude. He's hilarious.
So, but that loop. Well, first of all, you made the decision, and I'll tell you, like, you all came all in that first loop. You went down to your crew, and you spent. It wasn't too long, but it was probably a minute to a minute and a half. Bob got bottles and he was gone. And then you were catching up for, I don't know how long it took, but to talk to us about the decision to spend more time early and why you did that.
Yeah, I think that was one of my main goals, was because I've never ran this far before in my life. So I kind of expected, I was like, I need to make sure I'm eating, drinking, making sure I'm putting everything in me that I'm going to definitely need for later on in the race. And that's why I was taking much longer at the aid stations. And that was slightly freaking me out a little bit because Dan and Caleb would leave right after. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to work after, chase them. But, and then I kind of like changed up a little bit, like halfway through. where I would only drink one bottle and leave the other one with me full. Then I get to that mile 5 aid station, just fill up that bottle and then start drinking the other one. That way I'd only have to fill up one bottle whenever I get back to the start. Because when I was filling up the 2 bottles, definitely taking a lot more time. I didn't want to do that. So it's kind of just playing around with it, just like middle of the race, which I think it worked out pretty well. But yeah, definitely it was taking more time. And that was a big kind of goal of mine for sure.
So how did you, after the 50K mark, do you remember how you felt? I mean, were you starting to cramp? Is that what was going on?
So it wasn't really there yet. It was going pretty much that 4th loop. That's when I started getting real bad. But honestly, from mile 20 to mile 30, after that mile 25, that aid station, I started, because Caleb, Dan, and I actually all stopped at that aid station in the middle of the woods together.
Okay.
I filled up real quick and actually just like started making a move pretty early on, which I didn't know if I wanted to, but my body still felt good. So decided to do that and then just kind of kept going. But definitely going to that 4th loop, that's when stuff started cramping, getting tight real bad.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, you can see it because you came in after the 3rd loop and again in 121. Caleb was 125, and Dan was close, but you were in the front. You came through those woods, man. You know, it was so fun because we could sit there at that corner right where your tent was and on the road, and you all would come out of the woods into that opening and we could see you. You know, it was just like, you know, every time we would see a runner, it'd be runner and the cowbells would start going. And of course you were very easy to identify too. And so you come through and it's really like, here comes Alex. And that's when the race, it's really when it started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was super cool.
Yeah. You know, so I want to tell you, like, you know, part of what happened is, and we'll, you know, so poor Dan, you know, he finished his 4th loop. You knew that was when he was doing it's not a Dan Green kind of day, sort of thing. And he went back out, and then, you know, 10 minutes later, here he comes down a service road. And so, you know, his day was done. And then it was down to a 2-person really race. And what was so fun about it was, you know, you guys were still like neck and neck, and you came into the last to go out for the last loop. Kayla was right behind you, but you only left with about a minute and a half on him. And then we got a report from the mid-course aid station. They texted me and said the 2 runners are through 75 seconds apart. So did you know that you were that close at that point? Because there's a lot of switchbacks. I mean, did you have any idea?
So whenever I left for that last loop from the start, I had no idea how far behind Caleb was. I actually did not realize he was that close to begin with. So in my mind, I was honestly taking it a little bit easier going up some like hills that first part of the last 5 miles before we got to the last aid station. But then going up to that aid station where it's very switchbacky and you're going up, I turned my head just a little bit and I could see Caleb's hair just coming up. I'm like, oh my God, dude.
He's going to shave his head now.
No, dude, that's beautiful hair. You can't do that.
You don't want to tip you off. So what'd you think when you saw it?
Oh, my butt puckered up and I was like, I got to go, man. I got to go. So that's, right after that, after I saw him, I bit real quick at that aid station and just started booking it pretty much.
Yeah. Well, so the mid-course aid station, for anybody who doesn't know, it's the high point of the mountain. And you know, it was somewhat, when I laid the course out, that was really pretty intentional because it is a great place to watch a sunrise and it's a great place to watch a sunset. So part of that was for the aid station workers and in part for you all too. Were you able to see the sunrise at all?
It was gorgeous, dude. That was by far like the coolest part at the beginning of that race was that sunrise. I mean, it was pink red sunrise. And I mean, I couldn't believe it. And I was like, this is so cool that we're able to get out and just be able to run these trails like that and see this stuff. Like a lot of people don't get that. So yeah, that was probably one of the highlights of the day for sure. Yeah,
I mean, that's awesome because, you know, you kind of come up there and then you're actually heading east. So you should have a good view of it for a while.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, so that's cool. The sunset, unfortunately, was kind of muted by the clouds and the rain, and you were down in the bowl at that point anyway. So we had this report that you guys were 75 seconds apart. And so then I'm hanging out with your family, okay, and your mom's right there. And she's a nervous wreck. And And, and so it was something like, trying to figure out, they sent somebody out on the course trying to figure out like what the difference is. They don't want to find out at the end. They want to know now is he winning? Is he losing? What's the space? And so, and I said something like, or they said, of course, Opie went. I said, I hope that in just a minute we see them both bust out of those woods. And I thought she was going to smack me. Don't you say that? Don't you say that? I'm going to have a heart attack. I said, I want to race, man. I want to see these dudes like cranking it down to the finish. But your mom, she was having none of it, and you didn't make it that close for her, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, no, she gets sick during races, which she's come to a lot of them recently, especially the post college and stuff. When I ran at Marshall, she came to almost like every race, and it's like she was there, man. She's just freaking out, screaming, just getting sick. I was like, you just got to relax a little bit. Like, we're going to be here a long time. I'll just take your time, breathe. And yeah, there's no breathing for her for sure.
Dude, take a nap. I mean, but you can't do that and all that.
Oh, no.
Either. But it was really cool. And then hanging out with Dan's family too. They were just, everybody was so good. And all of the families, it was just so much fun to see. We had the relay going on, of course. And so you had, just friends, and they were crewing each other, and families coming in and waiting for everybody to come in and changing tags. I mean, it was really cool when that happened. So you ended up that last loop for you. Well, actually it ended up that you were 5 minutes ahead of Caleb. So you hammered that last 5 miles, absolutely hammered it. So congratulations. Ended up, your pace was 8:21 and his was 8:26. 5 seconds a mile separated you for the entire time.
Crazy
about that too, man. It's just to go for 62 miles and only end up that far apart. I mean, it was a great race. It just ends up that yours was just a little bit better that day. But I think if we take all three of you out there, I'd throw Holly Ann into the mix too on any given day, man. It's a toss up.
100%.
Such a good time and a good race.
Yeah.
But you've raced head to head before too, right?
What's that? I'm sorry.
You've raced head to head before with Caleb and with Dan too.
Oh yeah, a couple times actually. Most recent was with Caleb at Canal Trace. That's where, I mean, that was another just back and forth just for pretty much 24, 25 miles. And I mean, we were together almost the whole time. And I mean, that was just another kind of fun one. Caleb got the best of me there too. So, I mean, it's why it's fun racing Caleb, Dan, Holly Ann. Because I mean, we're all pretty physically fit, but it is like, that's the whole thing. It just depends on the day, man. And that's what makes it fun too. So not just one person winning every time. It's like just one getting the best of another one at some point. Yeah. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, with the people that were hanging out there, especially I was talking to the mayor some, and it's so funny too. When people find out you're doing 100K, they're like, first of all, it's like, what? How far is that? It was 62 miles. Where? Up on the trails? Like doing what? Running? People can't do that. Can people really do that? I said, yeah, they do it, and they do it really fast. And I said, not only, I said, actually, truly, anybody can do it. And I say that all the time. I said, look, all it takes is time and training, and anybody can do this thing. That's what's so great about the sport. Doesn't mean they can do it fast, but I said that, but these guys that we have, especially the top three and the top lady, they are nationally competitive, and they can go anywhere and compete. And we have them right here from West Virginia, living right in Huntington. And that's what's so really cool about that too. So, a couple of things too. I mean, when it comes down to it, one of the things that's so great about this sport is the community that comes from it. And I'll just say for you and Caleb both, Holly Ann hung out for a while too, but you were there till midnight cheering on your friend Jay. So who is Jay? What's the relationship? And what were you all doing that whole time? Just hanging out and cheering for him, right?
So yeah, Jay is actually Cassidy's cousin. So that's what her family was there for Jay too. So, I mean, and Jay is a savage. I mean, being out there for that long on your feet, weather changing like that. And I mean, that's honestly more impressive to me than some people just running fast. Like that blows my mind that he can do that. And I mean, that's why we wanted to stay, because we knew he was going to finish. The furthest I guess he's ran previously was the Marshall Marathon. He's only, I think,
Oh, is that right?
yeah, just
Oh,
a marathon
dude.
on road.
Yeah.
And then he got signed up for this, and he said he was just going to do it. And I'm like, heck yeah, dude, that's awesome. I mean, that's
Yeah.
going to be a whole 35 more miles pretty much. And he did it too. And I mean, it was honestly more exciting seeing, especially with that rain pouring down at the end. His kids were there. They ran up and gave him a hug when he crossed the line. And
Sure
I
did.
was just like, dude, we got to get this guy to sit down. It was hurting me, but
Yeah.
it was such an awesome moment. So that was really cool.
That it, it is. And we sat there all day watching people finish and in any of these races, if you haven't been to them before, you just go and watch the talented runners up front are inspiring. Those runners that are, kind of, I say mid-pack, but still, working hard. We had a lady out there, the second place lady, excuse me, Fern Jones, 6 months postpartum. Her husband brought her baby out there. She took him right past those porta potties, started breastfeeding him up the road and up the trail, and then gave him back and went on and finished that race in 13 and change.
Yeah, she's an animal. She actually she came into Roberts. She came into the shop a couple days prior, got some just stuff, and we were talking to her, and she had her baby there. And I was like, "Oh, that's a brand new baby, pretty much."
That's a brand new.
Yeah, she's like, "Yeah, actually, well, I'm gonna have to breastfeed him 30 miles in." I was like, "Oh my God, you are a legend!" Yeah. And that's exactly what she did, and she ran awesome. So I mean, that's awesome to see, dude.
I mean, a 13 and change on a 100K is a seriously stout time.
On that course.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
She's strong with it. And our third place lady came from Illinois with her family. They were there all day cheering. She got sick early and was, lost her stomach and battled through and finished. She was in second place for a long time. And so, what you see, and then you take somebody like Jay going up to midnight. We had several. Our last finisher was 20 hours and 38 minutes. And we tried to say, look, man, I mean, those gritty finishes when you can do nothing but take a single step with a cramp and you still go out and do it. Because with those loops, real tempting just to pack it in and go home, and they would not do it. And so it doesn't matter where those finishes are, man, they're inspiring from top to bottom. From the first one to the last one, it's so much fun to sit back and watch that happen.
Oh yeah, that was by far like one of the coolest atmospheres by far for racing I've ever seen. Yeah, just everyone being able to be there and witness it. Multiple loops of these people having highs and then having very lows and stuff. I mean, that's something a lot of people don't get to see during a race. And yeah, having that loop concept, I mean, yeah, you see a lot of crazy things, and I think that's really good for the sport of trail running for sure.
Yeah, man. So I got a question for you too. That first loop, who led most of the way?
Caleb did. Actually, there was some guy that was doing a relay that led for, I think, 3 miles or something.
Oh, you're kidding, really?
Yeah. And we were just kind of chilling. We didn't want to pass, but it was dark. I didn't want to trip. Caleb didn't want to trip. So we were just kind of chilling. And then after that, Caleb got into the lead and we started coming after. So
I'm trying to think who that was. I would have said Chris, because Chris Swan came in with a 127 on his first loop too. So he was.
Yeah. I don't know who it was.
It wasn't him. He went out later. So I have to look at it and see. Well, so let me ask you now. I'm going to share my screen again here because part of the question I have for you, and I think I've told you all this, but one of the things that we wanted to do is we said we are going to roll out the red carpet. I mean, we really wanted this to be a race where the runners felt and their families felt like, and I've been to races before, and you kind of feel like they're doing you a favor by letting you come there. We wanted everybody to feel loved, to feel appreciated, to feel welcomed, to roll out the red carpet. And one of the things, and I was out there Thursday morning doing some last minute marking and reflectors, I said, as I was eating spider webs, I said, we got to clear this course for these guys. And we want them to run fast. We want them to run hard and spider web free. So what we did is, and we always pre-ride our courses to make sure that, flagging's still up, nobody sabotage it, which never had a problem with, no trees are down. And so what you have here, man, this is Spider-Man and Sticky Chicken that went out. They left there about 4:15 to pre-ride that course and get all those spider webs out of the way for you guys. So that's my, did you feel any of that?
I did not hit one spider web. So these guys these guys are the true heroes right here, dude. That was awesome. Yeah, whenever you told me that, I can't believe it because yeah, whenever we'd go out for training runs like a couple weeks prior, I mean, that's all you're doing is eating
Oh,
spider
sure.
webs. And yeah, that is by far, I mean, after a couple, it just, I mean, it's annoying as you'll get out pretty much. So yeah, these guys are freaking heroes.
I know, man. That's what I said. Both of them. I said, "Well, lead with your beards," you know. And so I was checking Vince. This is Vince, and this is Andrew. But it's Spider-Man and Sticky Chicken. Sticky Chicken's his nickname. So let me check and see if you guys have anything. All spider webs all tangled up in there too. But you want to give them props, but it really is. You know, I say that with all sincerity. Is that what we have here on Meeks Mountain, and this is the volunteers. We had over 40 volunteers out there, and we did a survey, and there's not a single person didn't mention the volunteers. And I'm like, well, of course, this entire mountain has been built by volunteers. It is like a community and a spirit of volunteerism that are doing this work for other people. And the volunteers that have built these trails were so excited to see this race go off. They're like, we love these trails. We want other people to love them and to use them and to have an event, of this caliber in there too. So they were happy to do it. I mean, all I did was send out a text saying, "Hey, we need to pre-ride the course. Who wants to do it?" And these guys were like, "We'll do it. We'll take off at." They camped out first of all, and then went at 4:30 in the morning to ride through that. So that was pretty cool. I'm going to look at a few more pictures with you too, and I think there's just a couple of them, and just to give people an idea of what that looked like. And I'm not sure what loop that was for you, but there's Dan's family right there. There's a little bucket. You probably didn't even notice that. That was full of sponges and water there too. And we were keeping it the old fashioned way, man. We were keeping our leaderboard for everybody to see, and we kept it along the way. And after you took the lead after that third loop. So
that's so cool.
Pretty cool to see that too. But I wanted to keep all those, but they all got wet. So we had to trash them. So, yeah, I think this was either the first or second loop, and that was just the three of you guys just hammering it. I mean,
yeah, this was actually I think the second loop, and because I forgot to take my shirt off, but I got my light off, so this is finishing the second loop here actually.
There you go.
Yeah, Caleb is hammering it. Look at that guy, beautiful.
I know. I mean, all of you coming through, you just looked so good. And so effortless. There's another one of you coming through there, and every time you cross that mat, man, what goes through your head? This is love these finish line pictures too.
I know.
Kind of tell us what's going on here.
Yeah, I'm looking at Cassidy. I'm like, hey, we did it, dude. We did it. We did it. Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, every time I'd cross that though, I mean, it was a whole quick thing just going in your brain trying to make sure you're efficient getting everything. But this last one, when we're finished here, that was the most relief I've felt in a long time. So that was a great feeling.
Longest distance, of course, probably the longest and the hardest, and you win. So
yeah, the furthest I've ran before this is only a 50K. I was actually at a 50K. I got lost, which was Yamacraw this past year. I ran an extra, I think, 3 miles and ran, I think, 35 miles. So this is my longest by 27 miles.
We've mentioned Dan, and this is Dan. He was hanging out waiting for you. He had to go down a little hill to your crew station. He was hobbling up and down that thing every time you came back through there.
Yep.
Wanted to see his buddy finish.
Legend.
And this is your mom. We've got a better picture. I looked up the Yamacraw results too, and I noticed that Dan won. You were third, but there was a big difference. And I said something went on. Either he got lost or didn't feel good. So
yeah. Well, Dan and I actually both got lost, and that put us back in like 5th place. And then, I mean, Dan, yeah, we pretty much had to make a lot of ground, and yeah, Dan was just able to maintain after that. And I mean, running for Dan, it's second nature to him pretty much. Is all he does. He runs 2-3 times a day most of the time.
Does he really?
Oh my God. Yeah. He's an animal, man. So, and it's another good thing where I live with them. I work with them. We get to run together too. So that's one of the best things about Dan and me. So that's why I love the guy. So.
Yeah. He was so fun to be around. Anybody refers to themselves in the third person.
Yeah.
They're entertaining to me. So do that. I love this one too, man. Have you seen this picture?
Yeah, I just saw it literally like an hour before this. Yeah, this is the best picture, man. I love that.
it wasn't my first 100K, which part of the reason we did the 100K is I love the 100K distance. I think it is so good because it's a challenge. You're going to see highs and lows. You're out there long enough that you can come out of the lows again and hit another high, so you don't just get stuck there. 50K is not quite long enough for that. I mean, if you kind of you got to have enough time and enough miles. But then at the end of the day, you get to go to bed. It's not like the 100-miler, where you're up all night for the mere mortals.
Yep.
You're not up all night. But this just shows it's just like a, sense of relief with the ladies in your life, man. It's so cool.
Yeah, I love that picture. I mean, they were both there for me nonstop all day. And that was, yeah. I mean, I think my mom, Jackie, she was probably her and Doug were one of the first people there actually like getting stuff set up for us. So, I mean, just big ups to them. Cause I mean, that's tough to beat, to have family there for you like that. So, and then, yeah, Cassidy just holding me up there pretty much.
She's ready for some Applebee's right there, I think.
Dude, she's starving. I'm starving, man. We need that Applebee's, dude.
Well, so we actually do have one in Hurricane, so maybe you can bring her here.
There we go.
But you bring her here, and I'll meet you and buy you all dinner. Okay.
There we go. That's what I like to hear.
So, and you got this nice show here for Rum and Ron, which you all sell at Roberts. You can buy that stuff online. Again, for our millions of followers that are out there watching this, get you some Rum and Ron stuff too. Ryan Ramsey's a friend of mine as well. So
great, dude.
I threw this one in there. There's you and I together, and
love it.
That was right after. I think you were just basically sitting there waiting for number 2 to come across, waiting for Caleb. So
yeah, I thought he was right behind me. So I was like turning around instantly. I was like, where is this guy? So,
where is he? 75 seconds. He's got to be back there.
Yeah, it's wild.
Probably would have hurt him, but it does. It feels so good. I always say in a race, man, beware the chair. Do not sit down in the middle of a race, but when you're done, doesn't it feel so good?
Oh yeah, it's the best feeling. A lot of people will never have that feeling, but you should try it sometime because it's great.
It's also crazy how you can run so hard and fast for 62, but as soon as you stop, things start to hurt and they start to cramp. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, the human body, it makes no sense, dude. It makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah, it is. It's wild, but movement's the key, and that's why the movement is so good for us. And there's a Caleb coming across too.
I love this picture.
Yeah. It just goes, you can get out there and battle, but you're friends and you cheer each other on. And I love Caleb too. I'd have been just as happy to see him win. And for any of you guys, it's just great. And there's Caleb's mom right there watching.
Yeah.
His dad finished a lot later, had a rough day, but Caleb was there, for him. And you guys run hard, but still come back. And there's a great one too.
Yep. Fam. That's awesome.
Buckle there, medals with the belt buckle on. Do you have a belt for that yet? Is that your first belt buckle?
That is actually, my first belt buckle, which I don't really own belts. I just buy pants that fit, but yeah, I'm going to have to get a belt, I guess, at some point, dude.
Well, I'll tell you this, somebody said something, I've got just a few, and it says something about wearing it, but I got to get boots. I'm like, yeah, you can't wear a belt buckle with loafers and lace ups, I guess. I don't know. I've got to get some.
Yeah. I'm just going to try to wear that to work one day. I'll just be wearing running shorts. I'll just try to clip it on there somehow.
When you do it, send me a picture, would you?
I will.
Oh, that'd be awesome. It's great pictures. You and Cassidy. That's a good picture of Cassidy we just got her from the back before. So
yep. Look
cool.
At her.
I know. She's precious.
Yep. She's great, man. Holly Ann, Caleb.
It's so many. We've got a few different views on that, but the three of you all. Holly Ann, third overall. So we said, look, when she was ready to go, let's go do this podium. We put the three of you up on the podium, and that's what we have. There you are with your big checks and your awards from Gully River Pottery, local handmade West Virginia stuff, Bridge, great restaurant right across the street. I think you got $100 there. So I'll take you to Applebee's and then I'll meet you at Bridge. How about that?
That's perfect. Yeah, I'll get you back at Bridge.
So we also I can let the cat out of the bag. We're pushing for a bigger purse, for next year, and we'll have an announcement on that at some point. But just such a great picture and great time. And where's your check right now? Where's that big check?
Oh, Dan and I actually we have a mantle in our living room where we've been putting all our stuff pretty much. So it's sitting up there now.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's
it's pretty cool.
too, I think. And there, so I just want to show you this picture for everybody else, out there too. So this is Brandon Dorner. Brandon's the one that set all of this stuff in motion. And he's the president of our Meeks Mountain Trail Alliance. He's our chief trail builder and chief fun officer. And it just makes everything go. There's not anything that happens up there that he's not involved in and makes go. And wonderful leader that everybody else just is happy to get in line and to follow. And because of that, just has created a lot of good positive momentum. Not only that, but the city of Hurricane has been great for us, and the Meeks family. That's all their property that we're building on. And over here on the left side, this is Ashley Ellison. She is the co-chair of our events team. She and I do this stuff, together. We have a whole events team. It's Ashley, Brandon, Jason Hager does all the media. Stewart's, all of that landscape that you see was brand new. He did all that with his labor and his dime. Robert and Vanessa. So we're just wonderful contributors. We just wanted to point them out. And we were all there. They were there. Brandon camped out too. But there until 3 a.m. that last finisher came across. We packed up, turned the lights, sat down, and went home and finished up the next day. So it takes a ton of people to do this, and I get the pleasure of talking with you and with Holly Ann and doing, but it just takes a ton of people to do it, and they are more than happy, more than willing to do it, and it's cool to see.
Yeah, you say it takes a ton of people. It takes a ton of good people, like really good people. Yeah, people. They're definitely good people.
Yeah, I kind of brag on a bunch of them. I mean, it's and kind of use this example. We had shuttles bringing you in and out from the park because it's a 1-lane road and it's just not conducive for traffic back there. So we had several shuttles, and Kudlak was our crew chief, our captain, and he was there all day. He was there till 1 a.m. And I would just stand somewhere and I heard shuttle and I go, Kudlak! I just yelled out and he'd pop up, and he never complained. He never sighed. He never shrugged his shoulders. He never hid from me. He never hid from our runners and our crew and our family. He just hopped up and went and did it. He camped out too. They went to bed about 2 a.m. So it was almost a 24-hour day for him too. So, and then there's our mayor too. Great picture of you all. So,
oh yeah,
much fun, man. I can't wait to do it again. I hope you come back. I've got just a couple things to wrap up, and one of them is on the course. So we sat there that night as it poured the rain under the shelter, waiting for those last couple of runners. And Brandon said, how do we keep these guys interested? How do we keep them coming back? And thinking about the course. And so, you've got a course record, and I believe in maintaining courses so that we can establish a course record. Like Hard Rock does something cool where they run a clockwise and a counterclockwise. So run that in reverse. And then you have 2 course records for that. And then some have like an A and a B course. I've already decided if we do that, I'm calling this the OG course. So this is the original, it's the OG course. But when you think about that in a race, I mean, what would you say about the option of running it backwards or doing an alternate and having a chance to come back and have both course records? Would that be interesting?
Yeah, that would be actually very, very cool. I mean, doing it backwards, it's just like vice versa. Like doing it the regular way. I mean, that first 5 miles, very hard. I think it'd be maybe even a touch harder doing it reverse. So I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll give it a shot. We'll get some input for it too. But we want to keep it interesting. But definitely want you to come back. Want you to come back and defend your championship.
Dude, I would love to, man.
So we're giving you a free entry as for your win, and also 2 nights at our host hotel, which is the Wingate by Wyndham. So whether you use that for yourself, you use it for your crew, however you want to do that, you'll have that too. And again, we're working on that prize purse for you too. I'm sure that I've covered just about everything. I do want to talk. So what do you have? What do you have planned? What's next? What's the rest of your year look like?
So right now, just chilling pretty much the rest of this month. Next month, probably not really doing anything. We do have actually Run Wild 20 miler Roman Run is
Yeah.
putting on September 25th. So hopefully we can still get some people out there. I think Dan might be running it. I might just help out, just volunteer, have a good time. Free Folk Brewery is going to be there from Fayetteville. So a couple early morning beers, who knows? But other than that, October, nothing really. And then I'm pacing Dan for Rim to River in Fayetteville
Okay.
for that 100 miler. So I'm going to try to help him get the win, hopefully get a course record there. And then I'm probably not till January will be my next race, I would say.
So what do you have in January then?
Hopefully I'm looking to do Bandera in Texas.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
that's the big goal right now. So still have to get signed up for that. But I mean, kind of this race, Hurricane 100K was the telling point for me. If I was going to have a good race, I might be able to do something like that. And if I was going to have a bad race, it was like, going to maybe reevaluate. But I think how that went, I'm pretty confident in what else I can kind of travel around, do some bigger races too, man.
You should be confident, man. You've got all the talent in the world, and you've got the heart, and you've got the grit, and you've got the attitude for it, and you've got the support for it. So go until you can't go anymore. Take care of yourself, take care of your body, a good, strong, young body, just keep it sensible, but go and do it, while you can. And you've got all kinds of good years. One of the great things about this sport is that you can do it for a long time. They actually say that you've got about 7 years of improvement. And then from there, you start to, in improvement, you can continue endurance to build endurance for a long time. Mm-hmm. Speed is the one thing that after about 7 years, that's about where the peak happens. So you've got all kinds of good time in this sport to keep going at it too. So can't wait to see what happens. And at Bandera, I think Holly Ann, we talked to her last night. I think she's going to try that one too. Is that right?
I think so. And maybe Caleb as well. So that would be awesome because trying to get the West Virginia name out there, man, we gotta get out there, dude.
We want to do it. Well, our millions of followers that are watching this right now are going to watch it. They're going to know Alex Fancy Like Minor when this is all said and done. So anything else that you have on your mind that you want to talk about as the race or family or anything that we haven't covered here?
No, man. I mean, that was awesome. Big thanks to you guys, all the volunteers. I mean, I remember first running at Meeks when it was only, I think, 6 or 7 miles of total trail. And then I went back one weekend and I think you added another 7 miles or something. I got lost. I was like, this is crazy. They just keep building out here. And I mean, it's what you really need is a big group of people, good people that are going to get out there and do it. And I mean, yeah, big shout out to you guys, and definitely big shout out to my family, Jackie, Doug, Cassidy, Beth, Jeff, her parents. They were great. So, I mean, I wouldn't been able to do that without that kind of support. So, and that was just a great atmosphere to be around. I loved every minute of it, man.
Well, what we hope is that your family's going to say, Alex, we had so much fun. You have to go back and run.
They're going to force me into it. They're going to force me into it, man.
That's right. That's what we're looking for, I mean, and because it really is the way this thing works is when you get the whole family involved and they all enjoy it. Doing it solo is it's not a way to sustain it for a long period of time. And that's from a family guy too. So, man, I'm so excited to talk to you. It's been a ton of fun. Can't wait for next year. Excited for your win. Once again, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. It's great talking to you, dude.
So on behalf of the Meeks Mountain Trail Alliance and our events team of Ashley, Brandon, Haggard, Stewarts, Robert, and Vanessa, we have our dates set already for next year, September 9th, 2022. So, Alex, congratulations, and see you all out there.